Hey there, I'm Rose Hedberg, a writing coach and the founder of Ideas Right Now. In today's video, we are talking about the 5 best things that can come out of a funder outreach meeting and why you should absolutely be conducting funder outreach meetings. Let's dive in. Either you're a freelance consultant or you're a full-time grant writer for an organization, but the goal is the same. Write a winning proposal and win that funding. In the Global Grant Writers Collective, Meredith teaches us all about how your proposal is not just about the words on the page. It's actually about building that relationship with the funder. In Meredith Noble's book, Write a Grant, Become a Grant Writing Unicorn, Chapter 10 even talks about how a funder said nothing was worse than getting a cold application and not knowing where it came from, even if it was perfectly written. But it's not just Meredith and other grant writers telling you need to build a relationship with the funder. It's the funders themselves. In an hour-long funder panel, as part of our Learn Grant Writing cohort program, we invited funders and asked them questions all about the funding process to break the barrier between funder and applicant. We asked what their number one advice was for an applicant, and 90% of them said that the most important thing was building a relationship, not having a perfectly written application. In that same 1-hour panel, a funder had said, "We are here to help." And I want to reiterate this point because it might seem all too easy to skip the part where you write and then connect with the funder before you apply. However, I urge you, get over that intimidation, reach out to these funders because they would rather help and make sure that your project aligns with their mission and that you are submitting a proposal that is eligible. It's going to save you time and it's going to save them time. Now, in the Global Grant Writers Collective, we talk all about how you can conduct a funder outreach meeting, and we give you the top 10 questions to ask in those meetings. But in this video, I want to talk about the 5 positive things that came out of a recent funder outreach that I did because I put in some face-to-face time. Number 1 was confirming that the client I was working with was actually eligible for the grant program that the funder was promoting. They had 2 different opportunities on their website. Their names were similar, the funding opportunity names were similar, and the clarification on the website didn't quite specify and give us the confidence to apply for one or the other. However, by having a funder outreach meeting, I could ask the program officer, are we eligible for program X? Found out that it wasn't the best fit and actually we should apply for program Y. I wouldn't have known this had I not reached out to the program officer. Number 2, connecting with key partners. Of course, my client and I came to this funder outreach meeting. We had partners already, but by asking strategically, are there any partners you would like us to work with or any partners we may not have considered? We found 2 extra partners that the funder was excited for us to work with. Not only that, they offered to put us in touch with these partners via email. Number 3, who do I seek a letter of support from? Oftentimes, this can be a tricky area, figuring out who will support your project and program. We have a whole video on seeking stellar letters of support that you should check out below. But when I connected with the program officer, I found out that the original letter of support we were going to submit was not a good fit for this funder. My client had a letter of support from an educational institution that was their go-to person for a letter of support. However, they had never collaborated on the exact workshop that we were pitching to get funded. The program officer was able to help us narrow in on the different partners that we had worked with previously. One of our partners, a workshop that had been done the previous summer in the area, would be a key letter of support for our organization. We wouldn't have known this had we not reached out. Number 4, clarification on the budget. Turns out that the budget I had been working with was too much for the funder. There were several tabs that were not necessary, and it was also unclear based on the application online exactly what the funder was looking for. But in a meeting, I was able to ask those questions of the program officer, what are you looking for? And I was able to clarify that they did not want the full project budget. They only specifically wanted to know the budget for what we were asking for. This clarification helped tremendously in building that budget and making sure that our application and budget was smooth as we turned it in. And lastly, number 5, so exciting. Because of this funder outreach meeting, the program officer herself offered to read our first draft. I definitely jumped on the offer. We finished up our first draft, submitted it 2 weeks early, and she was able to give us some really critical advice. For example, because I'd been so close to the project and so had my client, there was some language about the overall organization that we were mixing in with the project that didn't match. We were talking about how our initiatives were both online and in person for the organization, but we didn't clarify that the project itself would be in person, therefore the higher cost. This was a huge but simple oversight that we may not have seen had we not had someone from the outside read our proposal. So with just 20 minutes of face-to-face time with a funder, with a real person who wasn't intimidating, I was able to clarify that my client and their project was eligible. I was able to help them find key partners and a way to reach out to them. I was able to help them clarify their budget, and we were able to get a first draft reading of that proposal. None of this would have been possible had we not taken the steps to reach out and meet with the program officer before applying. And this is something that you can and should be doing for each of your proposals. Have you conducted your own funder outreach meetings? What did you discover in these meetings? Anything critical that maybe you wouldn't have discovered otherwise? Let's hear it, the good and the bad. Drop us a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe so that you get more amazing grant writing content, and hit that notifications button so you never miss out on future videos. Thanks for joining, and happy writing!